You've connected to Cisco Unplugged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cisco Unplugged. I'm Dan Klamert, your host. And this week in episode 54, we're going to be discussing Meraki for Government. What is FedRAMP and what is our FedRAMP Authorized cloud networking solution here? So we've got a few guests here I'd like to welcome to the show here. So starting out with this, we have Corey Wright and Larry Woods, who are part of our federal networking team and our specialists on that team. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, good morning. Doing well.
Good morning.
Doing good. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for joining us. And we have Kurt Sauter, who leads our federal networking team here at Cisco. How are you doing today, Kurt? Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. And I'd like to welcome back Al Dumdai to the show. Everyone knows Al. Welcome, Al. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks, Dan. It's good to be here with all these rock stars. So
yeah, really looking forward to today. Hopefully everybody's got their brackets filled out here since it's March Madness. So now we've got about 24 hours, so get those in. But in all seriousness, before we get going here, just a few reminders. We are going to take questions live today like usual via Slido. You see those the URL up. You can join that way. The URL is also below the link to the YouTube stream. You can join via that way as well by clicking on that and submit your questions. We'll answer those either via Slido, or we'll probably answer those live on the show as well if we have time, which we should. So as usual, the session is also being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@getunplugged. So please go out there, like and share, and also subscribe, I should say, so you are notified when we do go live with new great content like this. So I think that's it for the reminders. Let's get unplugged. So Corey, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Actually, Corey, let me ask you a question as we get started.
Yeah.
Just so I'm not federal, and I'm reading this.
Yeah.
As a viewer, I'm watching this FedRAMP. Why would you're going to tell me what it is? I assume, but why would I care? Right? Just maybe tell me just a little bit before we get started, even, what's in it for me, right? If I'm not in space, right?
Yeah, and that was going to be my first question. What does FedRAMP stand for even? What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. What does it even stand for?
The acronym I'd have to Google and find, right? But why it matters, and I think about, I've been at Cisco for 12 years. I came in through Meraki, and originally, when we started discussing the project and discussing even doing this as a possibility, the leadership at Meraki at the time was like, "Why are we even doing this?" Right. So to your question, why it matters, not just for our federal agency customers that obviously have a mandate to consume cloud via a FedRAMP authorized cloud service provider, our state government, our local government, they're always looking to be secure. They're always looking for, how do they know that that a cloud service provider is securing their data? Where is that data? Where does it reside? Who has access to it? And those are all things, that from a FedRAMP perspective, we have to adhere to, the controls from GSA, but also for, our customers in the, commercial space. They have a lot of other compliance requirements that they're looking to meet, right? So whether that's a customer that's a DoD contractor, they have CMMC requirements, right? Whether that is a customer that's possibly doing banking, or a customer that's interfacing, really anyone interfacing with the federal government, you typically have some compliance that you need to meet to be able to either pass an audit, or just make sure you're securing the government's data just like the government needs to secure their own data. So at the end of the day, that's really why this matters. And I mentioned, hey, we started this project a while ago. Over the years, in going through this, the entire Meraki team, engineering and product team, A, they've done a ton of work, and B, they learned from a lot of that work. So what they did while doing the work, and making sure they were doing all of those FedRAMP controls, 300 some FedRAMP moderate controls, they started realizing, oh, well, we can actually make our commercial cloud more secure by, taking advantage of the work we're doing for our FedRAMP offering, right, for our Meraki for Government Cloud. So for example, we do FIPS 140, 140-2, and 140-3 natively in the Meraki Commercial Cloud, as well as the Meraki for Government Cloud. So, we learned our lessons and, basically enhanced our security posture even in our commercial cloud. So whether you're going to consume the commercial cloud or going to consume the Meraki for Government Cloud, just know we have actually, enhanced our own security posture on both sides of the house, if you will, as a result. So.
Great. Well, okay. that helps.
Cool. So yeah, no, and it's a good question because, again, why do you care if you do no business with the federal government? Well, the Meraki Commercial Cloud's, that much more secure as a result, right?
Yeah.
Started this project a long time ago. These questions here on the screen, I've been asked, I don't know, maybe a few times. And I do love the one that has somehow become a verb, FedRAMPed, right? Have you been FedRAMPed? So we'll get into that. And really, why does this matter to our customers? Well, cloud has been obviously a desire for the federal government, as well as everybody else for a long time. Throughout the years in government, there's been mandates to go to cloud first. So that is obviously a still a thing that our customers, my customers, are interested in, and really that's for simplicity, right? That's for operational simplicity. That's for possible cost savings, right? Whether that is CapEx or OpEx. The other one being security, right? I mean, everything we're talking about that we just talked about and I just talked about, right, is security focused in the sense that if you look at the FedRAMP controls, it's all about how do you operate your cloud, how do you secure the data, right? And then continuously monitoring that, right? So we have to continuously monitor our cloud, provide that data back to our customers and say, this is what we're seeing, this is how we're securing it, et cetera. And then lastly, networking. I was in DC yesterday, meeting with quite a few folks talking about how agencies today need networking even more. So we have swung this pendulum within, before the pandemic, where some folks were in the office, a lot of the time, some folks were at home sometimes, then everybody went home. So, we kind of neglected our office networks for a while. And now most folks are coming back to the office 2, 3, 5 days a week, whatever it may be. So, that need for, a really secure network, a really, robust network to complete your mission, whatever that mission may be, right? You need it up. Everything, needs that network. So that's kind of the why we're talking about this. The other big one from a Cisco perspective is we have, for the last few years, started on this journey where we're combining our Catalyst and our Meraki, hardware portfolio, and being able to manage that either on premise or in the Meraki Cloud, right? And so this really matters to customers that needed that compliance, needed FedRAMP authorization, and had Catalyst products, or were continuing to buy Catalyst products, or even were just looking to buy Catalyst products, right? But couldn't use the cloud. They couldn't use the commercial cloud. Well, now they can, right? So they can take advantage of, what we Cisco are doing with that portfolio, bringing, number one networking products to the number one cloud managed products. And speaking of the cloud, Meraki started as a company in 2006 and has learned lessons along the way, right? Has continued to expand our capabilities, expand, just the number of nodes, let's say, in the cloud, right? And how do we operate that cloud at scale, right? So we have, a lot of customers, a lot of devices. And the big one that I love to call out on, or two big things, excuse me, I love to call on the slide is one, the SLA. So we do hold, a 4 nines uptime SLA, and we adhere to that for our customers so they know and can trust that their management will be up, right? The other big one, in my mind, I think the number's bigger if I went and looked today. I think we're above 18 billion API calls per month. But just this morning, I was on my way to drop a kid at the bus stop, And I got a note from a colleague saying, hey, does the Meraki for Government Cloud also do, XYZ API call, right? And the answer was yes, absolutely. All of our customers are interested in APIs for lots of different reasons, but that expansion and, kind of how we've allowed customers to get automation through the cloud or to the cloud, as well as extract data out of the cloud for their mission, right? For their business use case is really the key there. All right, if I can get the slides to work. There we go. So the one we always talk about in front of any customer that cares about their data and the risk of going and using a cloud service is we have to talk about what data is in the Meraki Cloud. And again, this is the same thing in the Meraki Commercial Cloud as the Meraki for Government Cloud. We're not, your email system in Office 365. We're not, a platform that is running your applications like an AWS. We only have your management data, your configuration data for your access points, your switches, et cetera, right? So that level of risk in terms of what data is Meraki storing in our cloud is lower than, what could be more sensitive, in terms of what's in your email, right? So only management data goes to and from the Meraki Cloud. And that's, over a FIPS 140-2 or 140-3 tunnel today. And again, either way, Meraki for Government or Meraki Commercial Cloud, it is the same, FIPS encryption we're using. And the only other big one I like to call out here is, it's the question we always get, right? Is what happens if my Meraki device or my Catalyst device, right, can't talk to the Meraki Cloud? And the short answer is it will still function, right? It will still run as is. Configuration data is stored in it and on it, and it will keep operating. Oops. The big one. So we received our FedRAMP ATO from the Program Management Office, and ATO, sorry, is the authority to operate. We got that in February. Long journey, FedRAMP is definitely a process, and it was really exciting to get that ATO. It's out on Marketplace. For our federal customers, you can go download the package and get access to all the data that's out there. So everything on the left-hand side of this slide, for example, the continuous monitoring reports, the SAR, the security assessment report, et cetera, you can get access to that all all on the max.gov, where FedRAMP holds all the documents. The cloud itself, right? What do we do? So we operate our Meraki for Government Cloud similar to like we operate our Meraki Commercial Cloud, in the sense that we operate that ourselves. So it's our cloud, our hardware that we're running in 2 disparate locations across the US. Today we support our switching, our wireless, our security and SD-WAN, and our cellular gateways, which is our MG product line. Soon, we'll add the cameras, we'll add the Meraki MT sensors. Those are kind of each running their own race to the Meraki for Government Cloud. The data and our clouds themselves is here only in the US. Can't send it anywhere else for FedRAMP requirements. And then one that is not a FedRAMP requirement, but our sponsoring agency. So to get into FedRAMP today, you have to have a sponsor federal agency, and that agency is CISA. And they were a great sponsor to work with. Awesome team there. So appreciate all their help. And they did require that to support the cloud, we needed to do US person, US soil. So everything that's kind of how we built it and what's operating it. And the US person, US soil is really important for some of those non-federal agency customers, right? So if you're a state customer, state government customer, local government customer, you may need that or want that, right? Our ITAR compliance, that's a necessity there. So another few things we can kind of check with that box. But what we didn't do, we didn't get an echo. We didn't rebuild the product. We didn't start from scratch. We didn't, mess it up, is the way I always think about it, right? The Meraki dashboard, people that use it that, actually, start using it to configure devices, monitor things. They love it. And they see the value in it, the simplicity of it, and that's what we didn't mess up. So we took the same dashboard, and I'll show you in a demo here in a few, same dashboard, and have turned on all the controls needed. I got this question actually just the other day through one of my colleagues in the Cisco commercial sales group, and they asked, hey, how do we turn on FIPS mode for Meraki? And the short answer is there is no FIPS mode, in the sense that we've all been used to in the industry for years, where we turn on FIPS mode and all of a sudden it turns off all these features and capabilities. We did the exact opposite. So I'll show you this here in the demo, but we built a FIPS compliance page that looks at your configuration in the Meraki dashboard and tells you, are you compliant or are you not? And then little links to find out where to change the config. It's a little bit different. I bring that up because this is definitely applicable, to a lot of different folks that are looking for FIPS compliance for different reasons. All right, my last slide. So the hardware we support, and I know this is recorded and you can go back and watch it, but the list is online on our documentation. We'll keep that list up to date as we continue to add new products. But we are supporting a pretty good amount of products today, and we'll keep adding more. The MS-150 was launched in the Meraki Commercial Cloud, I think, just a month or so ago, and we'll be adding it here in the next, I believe, next week in the Meraki for Government Cloud. And that's something I think I want to pause and hit on. When we were meeting with the FedRAMP Program Management Office, they were very encouraged, and they liked the fact that the same firmware we're putting on these devices in the Meraki Commercial Cloud is the same firmware we're putting on in the Meraki for Government Cloud. And that speaks to kind of what we opened up with in your question, which was, hey, it's secure, right? Secure enough in the Meraki for Government Cloud, same firmware on the devices in the Meraki Commercial Cloud, right? And then the other thing that the Program Management Office liked is they liked the fact that our speed to bringing those features to the FedRAMP offering, right, is going to be very quick, right? There will be a little delay, and that's based on the fact that we have to go through a different, QA process. We have to have US person, US soil, push the updates, right? So a little bit of a lag, but the lag is much smaller than some of our, brethren in the cloud service provider industry that's, doing FedRAMP. So I think that's it on slides. Let me get out of that, and then I'll bring a dashboard or two over that we can demo here.
While you're switching over, I just want to make a comment here. Well, actually, a couple of comments. I wanted to just thank our sponsor for this and the partnership to get here. Also, thank and congratulate you guys in the Cisco teams for the years it took in the making to get this, to make this a reality. So congratulations on that front. That's super exciting. And then the other comment was more of, I had a missed opportunity. I should have had a link here for some federal acronym bingo cards here, so we could have played along here and at home as we there's always no shortage of acronyms, but I think you're doing a good job, Corey.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the acronyms. I always try to say them out, spell them out, whatever it may be. Because I've been on the other end, right, where someone's saying an acronym, you're like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Please explain. So yeah, we can always play bingo with that. We can do it internally at Cisco.
There we go.
DoD's probably got more than most of us too.
Yep.
All right, so I know on this channel, you all have, if you've seen previous episodes, you've seen the Meraki dashboard. So I'm not going to go crazy into, a long demo here. But what I do want to show is, hey, the Meraki Commercial Cloud. So this is, if you can't see my URL, it is Meraki.com, right? And, this is our normal demo environment. So again, if you've watched this channel or some other Meraki YouTube channels, you've seen the Meraki dashboard, if you will. And you've seen this organization specifically, right? You've seen the Meraki corporate network. And so, if we wanted to go into a particular network, I could dive into San Francisco and see it. And what I wanted really to kind of, highlight was here is, side by side, the Meraki for Government Cloud. And this is just a different it's an incognito browser, so I can log into both, at the same time, without stepping on one account. And it's the same. So much so, we did have one of our customers. So I'm gonna tell a couple customer stories as I'm demoing here. We did have a customer say, "Hey, it's so similar. I don't even know which one I'm in." And so let me explain. This customer was consuming Meraki in the Meraki Commercial Cloud. It's a federal agency. They had their security team sign off on using the Meraki Commercial Cloud for their wireless networks, sites across the country, and they needed cloud, right? They just didn't want to continue to operate in the sense of, having controllers and not being able to be as nimble as they could with deploying access points in the cloud. So we, have obviously been working on this with them. They knew this was coming, and so they knew they were going to migrate from commercial cloud to the government cloud. And so we set them up a lab environment in the Meraki for Government Cloud. They were, looking at, okay, let me test some devices, make sure, our config works. So when we migrate, we're good to go. They started, really getting into that, really, setting the config. And again, they said, hey, I can't even tell the difference between it. Can you help us? So it's kind of funny how much they, are used to the dashboard and could see that. And so we talked about possibly even changing their logo up here. So we helped them and gave them a little visual that was better, so they could understand which dashboard they were in as they were migrating. But that customer did migrate. I don't know how many devices, over 1,000, just roughly, and they used APIs. So, the Cisco team, we worked with them, they migrated some config. And then what we did is we moved, I don't know how many per night. I think it was like 10-ish networks per night. We took their devices, unclaimed them in the Meraki Commercial Cloud, reclaimed them in the Meraki for Government Cloud. Devices came up. They don't have to go touch them, right? We're just via API automating, where that device lives, right? And what configuration it's pulling from, what cloud it's pulling from. So, it was a good experience for the customer to kind of do that automation and not have to click, for 1,000+ devices over time, right? So that's my story on that customer. But what's great about this, and let me make the government cloud now bigger and zoom in so you're not squinting. And this is just my own, lab, if you will. So you're seeing, a few devices here. But what I want to highlight and touch on is that FIPS page. So as I mentioned, the firmware, for device to cloud is using FIPS, right? So when we're looking at, the bare minimum, if you will, for Meraki devices, is that communication over the internet absolutely needs FIPS, right? And so again, that's in the commercial cloud, it's in the government cloud, and here's your FIPS compliance page on that, right? So we've checked those green boxes there. I'm going to scroll down. I don't have all of these set, but I definitely have wireless set up on this network. So I'll scroll down, and you'll see, hey, do you have RADSEC enabled? Right? Do you have WPA2 or WPA3 enabled? Again, things that you would need to have in quote unquote FIPS mode. But in here, we're manually letting you set it. So if I didn't have, for example, a 14-character SSID password, it would fail, right? It would fail the compliance here. And then, you could either pull the documentation right there, which is great. Again, built in. Hopefully it does. Okay, perfect. Gotta love live demos. But here it's, pulling in, the Meraki documentation. You can see, hey, how do I configure this? And this is a great, I'll scroll to the top, a great document literally telling you everything in that compliance report, what you need to do to be FIPS compliant, right? So we're really giving it, really, putting it in the hands of our customers to understand what they, want to be FIPS compliant with and where they need to make exceptions, right? All of our customers make exceptions for different things in compliance. And that's that whole risk, reward conversation. And so that's kind of where we're putting it in the hands of customers. And then the other cool thing here is, so that's the documentation on the right, and the setting to actually change that config. We'll link it to you, make it simple so you can find it, and then go ahead and, for example, here in my pre-shared key, I could go in and actually change the setting. So just a couple things I wanted to highlight there. I'll use this as another point or another time to talk about another customer story. So we had a customer that was using Cisco switching and a competitor's wireless solution, and they were interested in kind of consolidating their operations. Right, they didn't want to have to keep staff trained in two different product lines, have two different radius servers running, and have two different management things running at the same time, right? So they're really trying to simplify that. And they wanted cloud. This was an agency within the federal government that absolutely wanted cloud. And so they said, hey, it has to be cloud. So we, worked with them and again, set up a trial with them, a proof of concept, if you will. And they tried, I think they did it at 4 different sites. And I'm bringing this story up because it's really funny. They came in here and they configured an SSID, they put in a pre-shared key, and they hit save. And when they did that, it worked, right? We were showing them the FIPS compliance page a few days ago, and they were like, oh man. And they didn't even realize a lot of their configuration they've been doing for years wasn't even FIPS compliant, right? They didn't turn on that FIPS mode, had a pre-shared key that was maybe 12 characters long, and it wasn't actually FIPS compliant. So it's kind of funny how some customers are learning along the way with us, what is and isn't a compliant configuration. Cool. Also, demo-wise, the only other thing I really wanted to hit on was, and maybe I'll compare these again. Let's make this a bit smaller. There we go. Is some of the newer features, if you will, right, are here. And again, going back to that that comment I made where we're really trying to narrow the gap between what's available in Meraki Commercial Cloud and Meraki for Government Cloud. So assurance, as an example, is here, right? So if you want to go ahead and look at the overview, for assurance or web app health, or even wireless health, had a customer call us the other day and say, hey, the wireless isn't working great. And of course we were like, okay, what's that mean? Right? Like what's not great? What's the experience the customers are seeing? And this network's not going to show much, but let's show a live, production network with a lot of data. My point is it's the same, right? So we were able to dive in, we were able to look at, that particular network, see what was going on. And within a few minutes, they had a bunch of their association was okay, their authentication was okay. They were seeing about 80% a success rate in their DHCP connections or getting an IP address for the devices. So we started down that rabbit hole, right? And come to find out, they did. They had a DHCP configuration error, and once we cleaned that up, made the changes that night when they were able to. When people were out of the office, right? Because everybody's back in the office now. They were able to clean that up, and the next day, people were happy. So a lot of this, machine learning, AI, et cetera, that we're doing in the Meraki Commercial Cloud, we're absolutely trying to bring to the government cloud.
Hey, Corey, quick question.
Yeah.
So how would I know if I should do this? If I should if I should be a part of the FedRAMP Moderate Cloud? What if I'm state and local government? What if I'm just a hospital and I want, a lot of security? How do I know if this is the thing that I should be looking towards?
Right. First and foremost, if you're audited by the federal government, you're most likely, you should think about it. It's the best way to think about it. Obviously your .govs, right? So everybody, federal agency, your .mils, and even your state and local, right? So your state government, your local government. We recently had a sheriff's office. That's what it was. I was trying to think. That was a .org, but they have CJIS, which is Criminal Justice Information System requirements. So they get audited by the FBI. To be able to tap into the FBI database, they had CJIS requirements, and they're .org. And the reason I was pulling this document up is somewhere on here it tells you what customers are allowed or we're gonna say can come in the door. And so we even though they're .org, they're absolutely allowed to use Meraki for Government. When I would say ask your Cisco folks, talk to your own internal auditors, right? So even if you're a company, maybe here in the DC area where I am, and you're looking to do business, maybe even with the federal government, get a new contract, what have you. That's a good time to talk to your internal folks and understand what compliance you may or may not need. But so it's a hard answer maybe.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you're audited by the federal government, most likely you're going to want to be able to check that box, tell your auditor, yes, we're using cloud, but it's a FedRAMP authorized cloud, right? So,
and then if I want it, do I just call Corey Wright?
I wish I could scale to that end. That would be amazing somehow. But no, work with your Cisco team that you work with already. You work with your Cisco partner you work with already. Actually, simultaneously to this call, there is a call with Cisco partners doing a training on this as well. So the teams are aware of our FedRAMP offerings, and if they need some help, they know where to go and get the help. One other thing that's kind of interesting, and I'll use this page just to illustrate it. Let me zoom in. Is the hardware for this is not different. So I mentioned that one customer that migrated, their wireless access points from commercial to the government cloud. The hardware itself is the same. So if you're consuming, Meraki today, and you're used to buying a piece of hardware and buying a license, that's roughly the same motion as in the Meraki for Government Cloud. You're going to buy that hardware. You're going to buy a different license, right? Because this is a different cloud. But the motion of consuming, setting it up, configuring it, that's all the same.
Yeah, Corey, that was one question I think you just answered that came in here is going forward, will I be able to manage Cisco products on either, Meraki for Government dashboard or Cisco Catalyst Center? Do the same devices support both going forward? So
yeah, and you'll see here as an example, all those new-ish, they're not brand new, but the new-ish 9300s that we've been working with, those are Catalyst devices, that are running Meraki's firmware on it. And they talk to the Meraki cloud. What's available today actually in the Meraki commercial cloud is running a set of 9300s or a list of 9200Ls, and that list is out there on documentation. And that is iOS XE, right? Full iOS XE from Cisco that we've enabled and kind of embedded the Meraki tunnel technology to the Meraki cloud. And you can do that today in the Meraki commercial cloud. And we are hoping in the next few months, we can bring that into the Meraki for Government Cloud as well. Why that's important, to that question of, I want to be able to manage in Catalyst Center, I want to be able to manage in Meraki and or Meraki for Government, right? I want all of it, right? So, you have that ability to do that. And that's what we're going to bring. But, the other fun one that I think, a lot of our customers have been talking to us about is Wi-Fi 7, right? So actually here, where's Where's Wi-Fi 7 on here? Here we go. All right, so these new 9178, 9176 devices, those are access points from Cisco. You buy them, and the day you get it, you have the ability to say, I want to manage it on-prem, I want to manage it in the cloud. And when you manage it in the cloud, you can then go, okay, wait, which cloud do I want to use, right? Doesn't matter. Those are available in commercial cloud and the government cloud. So yes, that's the goal, right? And that, going back to that slide I put up, I think the second or third slide of, Catalyst plus Meraki, we want to be able to give you that experience in the government cloud as well. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, one other one too, and I think you definitely hit on this earlier, but I have a follow-up to it. Is the question was, if I've got the commercial dashboard today, Meraki dashboard, can I migrate to the Meraki for Government Cloud? The answer is yes, but I guess the follow-up is, how does that look? Is that something I'm doing during, you gave that customer example, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something I'm doing during like change windows, or what kind of downtime am I looking at in that type of migration? How does that look a little more specifically? And I know you're not going to do the full, run through here on the show, but high level.
Yeah, high level, the short answer is you can start your Meraki for Government instance, right? Get your organization.
Yep.
Start configuring your network, start configuring, the items in there, whether that's you manually clicking or using APIs to basically, migrate your configuration in.
Sure.
That you can have, and you can do that anytime, right? Don't need downtime, because your network's going to still operate in Meraki's commercial cloud until you're ready.
Sure.
But when you are ready, you need a window to update, because those devices you're going to completely unclaim from, one cloud, reclaim in the government cloud. And when you do that, they will need to reestablish their connection to the cloud. Make sure, hey, what's my config, right? They're going to ask the cloud. Once they have that, then they're up and running. So it's not a long process, right? It's not a 10-hour outage window. It's more like, 20 minutes to kind of, make sure everything comes up, everything's, good running. But yeah, it's not that bad, because you can stage it all right ahead of time and then do that quick cutover.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Thank you.
Excellent. Corey, this is great information. Appreciate you sharing this with us.
I think, it's been a long process. And, when I started at Meraki 12 plus years ago, my first call as someone that covered the DC area back then was with a DHS customer. And the first thing out of their mouth was, do you have FIPS? And I was like, no. I didn't even have to go ask somebody. I just knew at that point, right? As somebody that had been, working, in the public sector space for a while, I knew the answer, but it immediately hit in my head. It's like, well, hold on, cloud, simplicity, scale, many networks, many locations, right? That's most of our federal government customers. That's all of our state and local customers, right? How many, offices do they have across the state or across a county? And, over the years, CMMC was not even a thing 12 years ago. But over the years, everybody's had to, think about their cybersecurity posture, think about how they secure their assets, secure, their networks. And this is just another tool in the toolbox for them to do it.
Yeah, it really speaks to the maturity and the security of that product or that solution set.
Right.
So that's, to me, I think is real important.
Yep. Well, cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to cover, Corey? I think we're good on questions. Otherwise,
I don't think so. I mean, I think we hit all the typical questions we get asked about. Hey, how do I migrate? How can I even get started? Do I care? Again, whether you truly are going to go consume that Meraki for Government Cloud, or, whether you were just leery of cloud and security. And, I think this is at least hopefully setting some of those fears, calming some of those fears. Maybe we can't get rid of all of them, but calming some of those fears that customers have had and folks have been worried about. So
Yeah, I think this really helps, and I think it answered a lot of questions, and it was great. And we did our previous 2 episodes on best practices for Catalyst Center. We've got some upcoming episodes on best practices for wireless and Meraki dashboard. So I guess stay tuned for that. Like I mentioned earlier on the episode, make sure you go out youtube.com/@getunplugged. Go subscribe. You'll be notified when we do go live with those other episodes and content. But thank you very much, Corey, for the time and the demo. Always love live demos on here. It's fun. But and for the customer examples and everything here.
Well done.
Really appreciate your time. This was great.
Well done.
And thank you, Al, Kurt, Larry. Appreciate you as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And I think we're good. If you have any other questions, would like to follow up, like Corey had mentioned, or like we discussed during the episode, you can always reach out to your Cisco account team with questions. They know how to get a hold of us. You can always reach out to us directly. You can email us at getunplugged@cisco.com. You can hit us on Twitter, X, Unplugged 80211, or on Threads at Unplugged Connectivity. So thank you very much. Great episode. And until next time, stay connected and unplugged.